Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The government is currently engaged with 4 potential investors who have expressed interest in leasing and operating the Utley Marina. This was stated by Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Information Technology, Camilo Gonsalves, who, while responding to a question on the matter from opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday, informed Parliament today that some aspects of the negotiations are confidential and therefore he could not disclose certain information as it could jeopardize the government's negotiating position. Minister Gonsalves pointed out that one of the entities is from Trinidad and Tobago, another is based in St. Lucia, one is Vincentian, and the last is a partnership between Grenadian and Vincentian entities. Gonsalves noted that between the time of the budget address and today referred to by the opposition leader in his question, the government has also considered and declined proposals from entities primarily based in Venezuela and the Netherlands.
It's more accurate to say that the Netherlands investor and us parted ways, not so much that we declined the investment. To date, none of the proposals that have been deemed to be serious, credible, and feasible envisage a full utilization of the Utley Marina in a manner contemplated by the original designers and implementers of the project. To quote one of the proposals from the Trinidadian-based entity with a history of significant projects in Latin America and the Caribbean, and I quote the pertinent part of their proposal here, I quote now, Utley Hall was built as a super yacht shipyard with the developer intending to create a super yacht hub in the Southern Caribbean using its own market networks and direct involvement in the industry, with the mega marina at Ashton, as Ashton Union Island, intended to be the other crucial support for the project's success. We have been involved in this industry in the context of the Lesser Antilles for quite some time, and our firm belief is that a rejuvenated project at Utley Hall, as originally conceived, is a non-starter, unquote. This view, to a greater or lesser extent, has been shared by other potential investors in the project. To quote another proposal, and I quote again, there is unlikely to be any forthcoming taker of the facility that can singularly monopolize its resources, unquote. The third proposal states, quote, Utley Hall can be considered a failed project from day one because the present small enclosed courtyard design would never hold and create enough boat business and turnover to be financially viable, unquote.
Despite these feedbacks, Minister Gonsalves said they are negotiating with the proposed investors to broaden the scope of their initial activities in a manner that is most beneficial to the economy of SVG and aligns with the strategic importance of the facility.
3 of the current proposals embrace a more limited vision of the marina centered on its core purpose of vessel repair and storage. The 4th proposal introduces a very different business model, envisaging a, quote, future plan for a multi-purpose marine and technology park, unquote. That proposal includes manufacture and export of floating concrete piers to service the entire Caribbean region. I'm quoting again from their proposal. Floating concrete piers to service the entire Caribbean region using advanced technology from a Swedish manufacturer that has already supplied several major projects throughout the region. Freight and logistics are limiting factors, and the Utley Hall location would be an ideal solution as a base to supply a wider variety of products. Manufacture and export of engineered concrete coastal erosion structures using 3D concrete printing. Conduct a comprehensive evaluation of the yacht and shipyard facilities with a view to restoring its operational capacity. A technology-driven indoor agricultural facility for production and export to service the region, focused on value-added products with cold chain requirements. Members of our team do have extensive expertise in this area and synergies with St. Vincent's agri-sector beckon. A cold-formed integrated steel frame manufacturing facility that produces flooring, walls, and roof framing panels for easy transport and installation in areas that are usually difficult to access.
Gonsalves said another proposal being considered includes the reconstruction of the dry dock, the replacement of the current port boat lift, and the creation of an improved breakwater.
However, that proposal also intends to, one, demolish and remove the hotel structure, and second, remove other, quote, grossly oversized and poorly constructed buildings on the site, unquote. Additionally, that proposal, this is the second proposal I'm talking about, is rooted in massive concessions needed to create supporting marina facilities on prime real estate in other Grenadine islands, as well as establishing an ancillary business of stone excavation and crushing on lands adjacent to the Utley Hall. The environmental and social impacts of the proposed stone crushing activities negatively impact the attractiveness of this proposal from the government's perspective. Negotiations are underway as to the extent that some elements of this proposal can be severed. A third proposal is centered on, one, the purchase of a new 100-ton marine travel lift. Notice, Honorable Member, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, that the prior proposal I mentioned was talking about a 300-ton lift, and this one is talking about a 100-ton lift, which gives you a sense as to the bias they have towards a business involving smaller vessels. A purchase of a new hydraulic transporter, construction of a 3-tiered storage shed for power boats, and the purchase of the required forklift to facilitate this aspect, opening of a restaurant, chandlery and mini-mart, and repair, modernize, and operate the fuel dock. However, this proposal is A, focused on smaller yachts and powerboats. B, does not commit fully to the reconstruction of the dry dock. In fact, their proposal uses the rather vague language of to use best efforts to restore the dry dock. That's a quote.
According to Gonsalves, discussions are ongoing with the potential investors as the government is focused on negotiating optimal benefits and evaluating the best case scenarios from multiple proposals, none of which fully embrace the original vision for the marina. He hopes to narrow the list by the end of the year and ideally conclude negotiations with at least one of the potential investors on a long-term lease arrangement by the end of the first quarter of next year. The government remains committed to the success of a geothermal project for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This position was articulated in Parliament today by Minister responsible for Energy, Benava Brown, while responding to a question from Opposition Leader Dr. Godwin Friday regarding plans to develop the project and produce energy, which the government had indicated it would announce in the first half of this year. In her response, Brown clarified that the $120,000 allocated in the 2024 estimates of revenue and expenditure was designated to cover the operational costs of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Geothermal Company Limited and not for the geothermal project, as suggested by the opposition leader. Brown further noted that on October 26, 2023, the St. Vincent Geothermal Company Limited issued a request for proposals to develop a geothermal power project expected to provide approximately 2 megawatts of clean electric energy from renewable sources in SVG. She stated that this project promises a stable, cost-competitive price compared to current methods of power production, offering a bright future for the country's energy sector. Safari Energy was awarded the winning bid on December 1, 2023. The government minister also informed Parliament that in early January 2024, representatives from the company met with officials from VINLEC, the energy unit, the geothermal company, and other government officials to discuss the project and the way forward. She noted that the company has proposed a closed-loop system that utilizes the existing heat source to generate approximately 2 megawatts of power. According to Brown, the current geothermal site assets, valued at about $10 million, will count as equity for the St. Vincent Geothermal Company Limited. This means no additional funds will be required from the government of SVG or the SVG Geothermal Company Limited, providing significant financial advantages for the project and ensuring its sustainability. She indicated that the project by Safari Energy is expected to have its first output by the end of 2026.
Since the January meeting, several draft legal agreements have been under negotiation between the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Geothermal Company Limited and Serafi Energy, demonstrating our unwavering dedication to this project, Madam Speaker. The following terms have been agreed to in principle. A new special purpose vehicle will be established with SVG Energy, funding 100% of the Phase 1 project development, removing any financial exposure from the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The project is planned to commence and deliver its first energy output by the end of 2026. Phase 2. As part of the expansion process, SVG Energy proposes to develop a 5 to 8 megawatt geothermal power plant. SVG proposes to develop green methanol for cruise ships and exports. Green methanol is a sustainable alternative to traditional methanol. Its production from geothermal energy further enhances the project's environmental benefits. Madam Speaker, SVG requests the right for first refusal over the existing 400-acre geothermal zone for up to 5 years to explore other geothermal opportunities. These opportunities can include, but are not limited to, green hydrogen, ammonia, methanol through electrolysis as part of the closing conditions of this agreement. Madam Speaker, I want to close by commending this government's unwavering commitment to the geothermal project and towards our future energy security and supply of green energy, Madam Speaker.
Brung pointed out that in a prior attempt at harnessing geothermal energy, 3 wells were drilled to depths of around 2,700 meters each, with estimated temperatures of 250 degrees Celsius. However, due to water scarcity, the potential for resource development for a traditional geothermal plant was limited. Minister of Finance Camilo Gonsalves is reporting that the supplementary budget approved to address the impacts of Hurricane Beryl continues to be rolled out across the country. In Parliament today, the Finance Minister was asked by Opposition MP for Southern Grenadines, Terence Oliver, to provide an update on the assistance being provided to those affected by the hurricane. The Finance Minister highlighted the income support that will be distributed as well as production support. He noted that the Promoting Youth Micro Enterprises Prime grants from the Grenadines have exceeded his expectations, with 488 applications received from the various Grenadine islands.
Applications from the Grenadines for Prime related to Beryl now total 488 applications, with 157 from Union Island, 76 from Canawan, 55 from Myro, and 200 from Bequia. This is more than we anticipated. And we're currently evaluating in a needs-based manner these applications to see who will be first in the line to get those, and we expect to have an announcement by Independence Day about it.
Meanwhile, the Finance Minister reminded Parliament that 4,993 households were affected by the hurricane, impacting a total of 19,444 people. He said the Ministry of Mobilization and the Ministry of Agriculture are collaborating to ensure that all affected individuals receive assistance and that the most vulnerable individuals have been assessed and are receiving help.
Upon completion of registration, households were given access to the following, while verification of damages to homes were forthcoming. 1,000 households received $200 vouchers, food vouchers, within the first week of registration, pending approval of the supplementary budget in collaboration with the Zero Hunger Trust Fund. There's been continuous food distribution to the registered households every 2 weeks since registration, which will end when income support begins in November of 2024. The food boxes distributed have received, the households are valued, the food boxes are valued at $300, and a minimum of 3,755 households have received bi-weekly food boxes. Students of households registered with damage to their homes nationally were approved by Cabinet in August 2024 to receive the Hurricane Relief Back to School grant, which distributed grants to 4,000.
The opposition member of Parliament thanked the Minister for the information, acknowledging that while the promised income support had not yet materialized, the upcoming distribution in November is welcomed news.
Grateful for your answer. Indeed, many persons in the Grenadines, especially the fisher folk, those involved in the tourism sector, they're getting frustrated, and many of them want to return to earn a livelihood as quickly as possible, and they're quite dependent on, for any assistance given. I'm glad for the date in November, and I hope we're going to stick to that date in order to give some relief to the people.
Opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday told his party's convention on Sunday in Petit Bodel that the administration led by Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is now out of touch with the people after 23 years in office. Dr. Friday emphasized that it is time for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to look for a brighter future.
Never mind the brag about big projects. Never mind the boast about Wall Boss. Never mind all the bragging and the boasting. Ask yourself this question. Honestly, do you feel that you are better off today than you were 20 years ago? You see for yourself, and you see it in your friends and your neighbors. You hear them complain. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has gone backwards under the ULP. Unemployment is high. Crime is high. Wages are low. And the young people of this country face a bleak future. And we know that they care only for themselves. The ULPN government, they look after their own. And their own has become a smaller, shrinking minority of people who feel that they have a right to take what is produced in this country and share it among themselves.
Promising to bring hope back to the people of SVG, particularly the young individuals who he said have lost faith in politicians, the NDP leader stated that they will begin the rebuilding process, starting with the economy, which will include support for farmers.
Going away and begging for freebies, when you get it, it's good. But going away and borrowing more and more money to put the country deeper and deeper in debt, that is not an economy. To have an economy, you have to rebuild the 4 pillars that we talk about. We have to rebuild agriculture, maybe not in the way it was in the past, but in a modernized, more productive way. And we will do that. I want to tell the farmers of this country, believe in us in the New Democratic Party, because we believe in you. We believe that farming has to be a part of our future, not just of our past, as the ULP tries to make it. And I want to tell the farmers, those who say that they need new feeder roads because they can't get to their lands, we will build those roads. Those who say that we need to have better marketing for our produce, we will put that marketing structure in place to make sure that the fluctuation in prices don't affect the farmers alone. And for those of you whose animals and your crops are stolen every day, and nobody, you call the police and they don't come. You complain and nobody listens. Well, I am listening to you. And I say to you that those people who steal your crops and who steal your animals, that will stop, because we have a zero tolerance policy.
The opposition leader also promises to introduce a number of measures to ease the cost of living in the country once elected into government. These include a reduction of VAT from 16% to 13%, a reduction of customs duties and port charges, year-end bonuses for all public servants and people who are on public assistance. Women, youth and producer groups with a focus on gender will have the opportunity to prepare their farms using climate-smart technologies with the support of the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is one of 8 Caribbean countries earmarked for this project. Today, the initiative titled Gender Responsive Climate Smart Agriculture and Food Systems in SVG was launched with several women and youth participating. Value chain expert and FAO project coordinator Marina informed the participants that they would be equipped to address the harsh realities of climate change in advance, particularly concerning certain crops.
The project seeks to increase the capacity of producers and processors and their use of tools and technologies, even to address different hazards that come and affect the chain as a result of climate change. We have been transforming value chains in St. Vincent and successfully working with several stakeholders to improve the viability of the dashing and in coming days the hot pepper value chains using market-driven data and facilitating what we call a public-private sector partnership to drive the expansion and development of these chains in this holistic way.
In addition to pilot projects, the initiative will include the use of geospatial data to improve the surveillance and monitoring of production sites. Meanwhile, the FAO project coordinator expressed a desire to transition towards renewable energy.
We within the sub-regional office are constantly promoting climate-smart cropping systems that integrate efficient and adapted and affordable practices and technologies, including the use of renewable energies, which we would like to see applied right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. To do this, though, we don't want to start fresh. We would like to build on your existing activities and project focus within the ministry and apply our technologies and solutions in a bid to work with you in a partnership to further develop and enhance the agricultural sector. Through this project, we can do that by our constant collaboration. We do recognize, and given our source of funding, Canada's pro-feminist policy, and also recognize, though, the importance of both rural women, youth, and men as critical success factors in developing the agricultural sector.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Nerissa Gittins, expressed gratitude for the initiative, highlighting the impacts of Hurricane Beryl on farmers in SVG.
Following so many natural disasters in such a short period of time here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the question to be considered is, can we continue in this manner of starting over every single time something happens? Is there anything that can be done to mitigate the negative impact of such disasters? We do know the vulnerable are impacted most when these things happen. It is with this in mind that the FAO Sub-Regional Office for the Caribbean, in collaboration with the Government of Canada, agreed to collaborate with us, and that is the Ministry of Agriculture in St. Vincent, to promote the use of climate-smart technologies in agricultural value chains.
It is hoped that this project will create market linkages through community fairs and forums, enabling farmers and processors to connect with buyers both nationally and regionally. With the low mathematics grades at CXC this year in SVG, the Ministry of Education is exploring several initiatives to enhance student performance. One area of focus is on the introduction of special programs at the lower primary level and subsequently at the secondary level. The new programs were revealed by Minister of Education Curtis King in Parliament today while responding to a question from Opposition Shadow Minister on Education, Terence Oliver.
We have had initiatives. This year, once again, the ministry has already been in engagement with the Commonwealth of Learning as well as UNICEF to work out. In fact, we are present negotiating and arriving at an agreement in both cases to enhance the teaching of math in the primary schools in one instance and secondary school in the other instance with both of these agencies. So yes, we are cognizant of the challenges and we are making every effort to see an improvement in the performance of our students, especially in mathematics, given our own commitment to enhancing STEM education in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Despite an overall increase in the pass rate at CSEC this year, which stands at 73.60%, the mathematics pass rate was notably the lowest at just 31.60%. Last Friday, October 11, 2024, some students from the SVG Community College were engaged in a protest action outside the college compound due to what they said are poor conditions at the tertiary level institution. Commenting on the students' protest on radio on Sunday, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves stated that the students are within their rights to protest. However, he emphasized that the government has invested millions of dollars in the institution.
You know, I like when young people see things and they want to make their voices heard completely. And I don't know whether the leadership was not in tune with the students enough to have spoken to them and explain what's happening, you know, the process which is going on. I don't know. But that community college, which we expanded with $30-something million, 80-something thousand square feet of floor space, not only there at the Villa campus, we expanded for the nursing, and that still needs expansion, and down at the technical college where there was tremendous expansion. Well, at the Villa campus, you also have the Department of Teacher Training, Teacher Education there.
The students protested for one day.